The night was cruelly beautiful. The full moon hung high above the Silverclaw Pack grounds, turning the clearing into a stage of cold light and long shadows. Luna Ashford stood barefoot on the stone circle, trembling. The wind tugged at her torn white dress, but the eyes fixed on her were colder than the night itself. Luna Ashford, Alpha Marcus's voice boomed, deep and heavy with power. Daughter of no one, weak blood, tonight, before this moon, I reject you as my mate. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Some women smirked. Some men spat on the ground. The pack, her family, looked at her as if she were a disease. Luna's throat tightened. Mate? The word that had once filled her dreams now shattered like glass. Her heart begged to speak, but her voice came out as a whisper. Marcus, you can't. The moon made a mistake, he snarled, eyes burning gold. You're weak. A disgrace to my line. I, Alpha Marcus of Silverclaw, reject you and sever our bond. A roar of approval erupted. The bond inside her snapped, a silent scream that tore through her chest. Pain flooded her senses like fire. She staggered, clutching her heart, gasping for air. Then came the stones. The first one struck her shoulder, the second hit her cheek. Children watched as adults hurled their hatred. Weak blood, cursed girl, her vision blurred. She fell to her knees, moonlight glinting on her tears. Marcus's beta stepped forward. By Alpha's decree, Luna Ashford is banished. Cross the border before dawn or die as a traitor. Her heart broke, but her pride remained. She rose on shaking legs and whispered through bloodied lips, "You'll regret this, Marcus." They laughed. She turned toward the dark forest that bordered their land, the Forbidden Forest, a place whispered to devour souls. Her bare feet bled on the stones, but she didn't look back. The forest swallowed her whole. Cold mist wrapped around her like ghostly fingers. The cries of wolves echoed behind her, wolves that once called her sister. She stumbled deeper, every breath a struggle. Am I truly that worthless? She thought. Branches tore at her skin. Shadows moved between the trees. A howl unlike any she'd ever heard thundered from the distance. Deeper, older, powerful. She fell near the border where packland ended and ancient territory began. The unseen realm of Lycans. Blood soaked the earth beneath her. Her vision dimmed. The last thing she saw was the moon splitting through clouds and a figure of shadow and gold eyes watching her from beyond the mist. Then darkness. Her story should have ended there, but fate had other plans. When she wakes up, the first thing Luna felt was warmth. Not the cruel, burning heat of rejection, but soft warmth, like sunlight through silk. She tried to open her eyes. Everything was blurry at first. The scent of lavender and clean fire filled her lungs. A ceiling of carved obsidian glimmered above her, lit by silver candles that never melted. Where am I? Luna pushed herself up, groaning. Her body still ached, but she wasn't lying in dirt or blood anymore. She was on a bed, no, a throne of softness, draped in black silk, gold embroidery curling across the sheets. Her hand brushed her dress. It wasn't torn. It was new, smooth fabric, stitched with ancient symbols she didn't recognize. The door opened with a deep hum. 2 figures entered, tall men in dark armor that shimmered like midnight glass. Their eyes weren't golden like wolves, they were silver. One of them bowed. "She's awake." The other nodded, speaking with a low, steady voice. "Inform the king. He'll want to see her." They left before she could speak. "King?" She swung her legs off the bed. Her feet touched polished stone that seemed alive, glowing faintly under her. She walked, staggered really, to the window. What she saw stole her breath. Outside stretched a kingdom unlike anything she'd imagined. Mountains of black stone rising toward the stars, rivers that shone like liquid moonlight, and at the center a castle of obsidian spires crowned with silver fire. ancient Lycan territory. Every pack pup had heard the stories. The Lycans were older, stronger, almost gods. Their king had reigned for centuries, a legend no wolf had seen in 1,000 years. And somehow, she was in his castle. The door creaked again. A woman entered, beautiful, poised, with white hair that fell to her waist. She carried a tray of steaming herbs. "You should rest, child," the woman said softly. "Your wounds were deep. The king's physician worked through the night." Luna hesitated. "The king? Why would a king care about a banished wolf like me?" The woman's smile was knowing. "Because you're not just a wolf." Her words hung in the air like a secret. As the healer cleaned her bandages, Luna noticed servants passing by the door, whispering. Every pair of eyes that met hers widened with something like recognition or fear. "She looks just like her," one murmured. "The prophecy was true," said another. "The king has been waiting for this day." Her heart raced. Later that night, dressed in a flowing silver gown that fit her as if woven for her alone, Luna was guided through the castle's echoing halls. Torches burned blue, ancient portraits lined the walls, faces of Lycan kings and queens with silver eyes like her own reflection in the mirror. Finally, the guard stopped before a massive door of carved obsidian. "The king awaits." The door opened. The room was vast, a throne hall carved from stone older than time. Flames burned in floating bowls of light, and there, on a raised platform, sat the Lycan King. She could barely breathe. He was tall, clad in black and silver armor that caught the moonlight like liquid, hair dark as shadow, eyes the color of molten gold. Power rolled off him in waves. When those eyes met hers, her wolf inside her stirred, not in fear, but recognition. The guard bowed and announced, "Luna Ashford of the Silver Claw Pack." The king rose. Every movement was silent but commanding. His gaze locked on her, and a soft, almost reverent word escaped his lips. Finally, the hall fell silent. Luna felt the word strike through her like lightning, as if it carried centuries of waiting. Her breath caught. "You know me?" His voice was ancient and tender at once. "I have known your scent since before you were born. I've felt your heartbeat under every moon, and now, at last, the bond calls you home." She took a step back. Her heart raced. "What are you talking about?" He smiled sadly. "You don't remember. The curse hid you well." He descended from the throne, each step echoing like thunder. "I am Theron, king of the Lycans, and you, Luna Ashford, are the mate I lost 300 years ago." The torches flickered, her heart stopped, and in that moment, for the first time since her rejection, she was no longer cold. Silence filled the throne room. Luna could hear nothing but her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. 300 years? She whispered. "That's impossible." The Lycan King, Theron, studied her with eyes that looked older than the moon itself. There was sorrow in them, and something that felt like devotion. He stepped closer, his presence overwhelming yet strangely calming. "Do you feel it?" he asked softly. Luna shook her head, but her wolf stirred restlessly. Her pulse quickened, the air between them shimmered faintly. "It's the bond," he murmured. "Even cursed time cannot kill it." Her lips parted, trembling. "What bond?" Theron lifted his hand but stopped just short of touching her face. "The mate bond. Ours." Luna blinked, stunned. No, that can't be true. I had a mate. Marcus rejected me." At the name, a growl rumbled deep in Theron's chest, ancient, dangerous. "A false bond," he said. "A spell-woven trick. His ancestors feared what you were destined to become, so they bound your wolf to a lesser one. They hid you from me with dark magic that even I could not break." He turned away, pacing slowly to the great window that looked over the Lycan city below. His voice lowered, thick with memory. "I felt you every full moon. The world would go silent for a heartbeat, and I'd sense you, alive somewhere, but always fading before I could reach you. I tore through realms looking for you, Luna. I watched kingdoms fall, empires crumble, but I never stopped searching. The firelight caught the scars on his back, marks of battles long past. He faced her again, gold eyes glowing like suns behind clouds. And tonight, the curse broke when your false mate rejected you. That pain you felt was the bond awakening. Luna's knees weakened. She steadied herself against a marble pillar. "Why me?" she whispered. "Why would a king wait for someone like me?" Theron's expression softened. "Because you are not what you think you are, Luna Ashford." He motioned to his advisor, the white-haired woman from before, who stepped forward, carrying an ancient book bound in silver hide. Theron opened it, the pages glowing faintly under his touch. Symbols shifted across them like living ink. "These are the chronicles of our kind," he explained. "Every royal lineage, every prophecy. Listen well." He read, "From the first moon's bloodline shall rise a daughter hidden among the wolves. Her light shall end the darkness of deceit. Her bond shall awaken the king who waits between centuries." Luna's breath caught. "That prophecy, it's about me? You are the last living descendant of the original Lycan royal family," Theron said quietly. "Your blood carries the power of creation and healing. But Marcus's ancestors feared that your line would reclaim the throne they stole. So they hid you, suppressing your wolf and your memories." She pressed her hand against her chest. "So all this time, they lied to me. They called me weak to keep me small." "They feared you," Theron said, "and now the truth returns." He approached her again, gently lifting her chin. "Look at me, Luna. What do you feel?" Her eyes met his, and something inside her snapped open. A rush of energy surged through her veins. Her heartbeat matched his. The world blurred, and for a moment she saw flashes of another life. A woman in a silver crown standing beside this same king, her laughter echoing under moonlight. Her own voice whispered through time, "Find me again, no matter how long it takes." Luna gasped and stumbled back, clutching her head. "I saw us," Theron finished softly, "before the curse." He reached for her hand. His touch burned, but not painfully, like warmth spreading from her skin into her soul. A faint silver glow pulsed at their joined hands, the mark of mates. "Our bond has found its way back," he said, "and with it, your power will soon awaken." Tears filled her eyes. "I don't know if I can be what you think I am." Theron smiled, a small, rare smile that broke the weight of centuries. "You already are. You survived rejection, exile, death. The weak could not have reached me." He brushed a strand of hair from her face. "Rest tonight. Tomorrow you'll begin to remember who you are." Luna hesitated. "And if I can't?" "Then I'll remind you," he said simply, "every day until you never forget again." She looked up at him, this immortal king who had waited lifetimes just to say her name, and for the first time in her life, she didn't feel like a mistake. Outside, the moon flared bright, and somewhere deep within her, the bond sparked again, stronger, brighter. Her true story had only begun. The next morning broke with silver light spilling through the obsidian windows. The Lycan kingdom never slept. From her chamber balcony, Luna could see the city stirring, armored Lycans training in the courtyards, the scent of rain mixing with steel and magic. Her reflection shimmered faintly in the mirror. There was something new about her eyes, a glint of silver deep within the brown, like moonlight hiding underwater. The door opened softly. Theron's voice filled the room like calm thunder. "You didn't rest." She turned, startled. The king stood there, dressed not in his usual armor, but in a black tunic embroidered with faint silver sigils. Even dressed simply, he looked otherworldly, power wrapped in calm restraint. I tried, she said, her voice quiet. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw flashes, faces, symbols, fire. He nodded slowly. Memories are returning. The curse is lifting. He extended a hand. Come, there's something you need to see. They walked through silent corridors that glowed faintly with magic. The walls seemed to hum with energy, ancient whispers that followed her steps. He led her to a massive room, the royal library. Its ceiling stretched high, filled with floating lights, shelves of crystal, and books that whispered when touched. Luna's fingers brushed a spine, her name burned faintly across it. How do these books know me? Because they remember, Theron said. Every life, every bond, every curse is recorded here. This is where your truth begins. He placed a hand on an old volume, bound in dark leather, sealed with silver thread. When he opened it, moonlight poured from the pages, shaping images in the air. Luna gasped. She saw two figures, one that looked like Theron and one that looked exactly like her. That's us, she whispered. Yes, Theron said quietly. Before you were hidden. The illusion showed an ancient throne room, fire and chaos, spells tearing the air, a jealous alpha casting a curse to tear them apart, Luna's ancestor screaming as darkness swallowed her. Theron's voice trembled just slightly. He cursed your bloodline, hid you among wolves, erased your power so I could never find you. Luna watched as her past self fell through shadows, reborn, generation after generation, memory wiped each time, until now. The magic faded, Luna's heart pounded. So Marcus's family, they're the descendants of the one who cursed us. Yes, he said, his jaw tightening, and your rejection awakened the curse's end. The moment he severed the false bond, the true one found its way back. She stepped closer to the book, voice trembling. Then what happens now? Theron's eyes softened. Now, your power awakens. The Lycan Queen's blood cannot remain hidden forever. He placed his palm gently against her chest, not over her heart, but over the mark that had begun to shimmer faintly beneath her skin. A wave of energy surged through her. Her knees buckled, but Theron caught her easily, steadying her against him. Her breath hitched. What's happening to me? Your wolf remembers. Light flared around her. Her heartbeat matched the rhythm of the earth itself. The air shimmered, runes forming on her arms, glowing silver. Her eyes snapped open, shining completely silver for the first time. Every instinct screamed, power, wild and ancient, flooding her soul. I can feel everything, she whispered. Every life, every howl, every moon. Theron's voice was calm, proud. That is your birthright. The healer's blood. You were never weak, Luna. They only feared your light. Tears slid down her face as she felt her strength return. Strength she'd never known she had. The same wolves who had called her cursed would tremble before this power. Theron's hand lingered on her cheek. You are magnificent. She looked up, chest heaving. And you waited 300 years just to find me? Longer, he said, his eyes burning softly. Time means nothing to those bound by fate. Their bond pulsed, invisible yet alive. The room dimmed as silver threads of energy wrapped around them both, connecting heart to heart, soul to soul. Her wolf howled inside her, not in pain, but in recognition, and for the first time since she'd been rejected, Luna felt whole. Theron whispered, You are mine, Luna Ashford, not because I claim you, but because fate itself wrote your name beside mine before the first moon ever rose. Her reply came in a whisper, trembling yet certain. Then fate finally kept its promise. The bond sealed. A flash of light swept through the room, shaking the castle to its foundation. Every Lycan felt it, the king's power merging with another's, the prophecy fulfilled. Outside, the sky darkened for a heartbeat, then burst into silver rain, the sign of a bonded king and queen. In the halls below, whispers spread like wildfire. The king has found his mate. The curse is broken. The queen has returned. Later, when the magic settled and the world was quiet again, Luna stood on the balcony, looking over the silver-lit kingdom. Theron joined her, his voice a low hum. They will come for you now. Marcus will realize what he threw away. Luna's eyes glowed faintly, no longer frightened. Let him. I'm not the girl he rejected anymore. Theron smiled. No, you're the queen he'll soon kneel before. She turned her head, meeting his gaze. And what happens when he does? You decide his fate. The moon shone above them, two silhouettes standing side by side, their bond blazing bright against the dark. And somewhere deep in the mountains, a furious alpha howled at the sky, realizing too late that the one he had rejected was never weak at all. The Lycan Kingdom was alive that night. Every torch, every flame, every breath of air shimmered with magic. The news had spread, the lost queen had returned. The royal courtyard, carved from black stone and crowned with silver banners, glowed under the full moon. Lycans from every realm had gathered, eyes turned toward the dais where two thrones stood side by side. Luna stood in front of a tall mirror, her heart thundering. Her gown shimmered like moonlight poured into fabric, silver embroidery flowing like rivers of light. Her silver eyes glowed softly, no longer a mark of curse, but of power. The white-haired healer smiled as she fastened a silver circlet into Luna's hair. Your mother wore this the night she became queen, she whispered. Luna's throat tightened. I wish she could see this. Oh, she can, the woman said softly. The spirits of the first royals are watching tonight. The door opened. Theron entered, dressed in black armor etched with runes that shimmered faintly under the light. His golden eyes softened when they met hers. For a moment, he didn't speak. He simply looked at her, the girl who had once been rejected, now standing as destiny reborn. You are every promise I ever made to the moon, he murmured. She smiled faintly. And you're the one who kept it. He extended his hand. Come, Luna. They await their queen. The crowd parted as they stepped into the moonlight. A wave of murmurs rose, awe, reverence, disbelief. The drums of the ancient ceremony began to beat, deep and rhythmic, echoing through the valley. But the moment of peace didn't last. From the far gates, a chilling growl cut through the night. The scent of wolves, familiar and bitter, filled the air. Marcus had arrived. His once proud pack marched behind him, their eyes filled with greed and fear. His voice thundered across the courtyard. Step away from her, Lycan. She belongs to me. The crowd gasped. Guards raised their spears, but Theron held up a hand. His expression was calm, almost cold. You dare speak of belonging, the woman you threw to die? Marcus sneered. I was deceived. She carries royal blood. She's valuable. I've come to take what's mine. Luna's silver eyes burned. She stepped forward before Theron could answer. Her voice was calm, steady, and sharp as a blade. You can't take what was never yours, Marcus, he snarled. You're still weak. You'll always be weak. Luna raised her hand. The air around her shifted. The earth itself hummed. Silver energy rippled from her palm, swirling through the air. You want proof? She whispered. Then come and see how weak I am. The crowd erupted in whispers. Even Theron's guards hesitated. The queen was challenging him herself. Marcus lunged, his wolf form burst forth, dark fur, glowing amber eyes. He struck like lightning, but Luna didn't flinch. Her silver aura blazed. When he reached her, she moved faster than any wolf could see. Their powers clashed, claws against light, sparks filled the air. He threw her back with a roar, but she landed gracefully, her gown torn, her eyes glowing brighter. You destroyed my life, Marcus growled. No, she said softly. You created who I was meant to become. She raised both hands. The silver light around her erupted, forming a spectral wolf behind her, vast and radiant, its howl shaking the heavens. Marcus froze. His body trembled as the light engulfed him. His wolf bowed, not by choice, but by submission to a power greater than any alpha's. Luna approached slowly, every step echoing power and calm. When she reached him, she looked down with mercy in her voice. I could end you, but that would make me no better than you. She turned her head slightly. Instead, I banish you. From this realm, from your title, from every pack that once called you Alpha, you will wander as the beast you've become. Marcus's form shuddered. The mark on his neck, his alpha seal, burned away in a flare of light. He fell to his knees, gasping, stripped of power. As he was dragged away, the moon glowed brighter, blessing her judgment. Theron stepped forward, pride shining in his golden eyes. The crowd knelt as he spoke. Luna Ashford, descendant of the first Lycan line, you have faced rejection, betrayal, and exile. You have risen above all. Will you take your place beside me, not as subject, but as queen of all Lycans? Her voice was clear, steady, glowing. I will. He smiled faintly, and for the first time, his ancient voice softened into something human. Then before the moon that binds us, before every realm that watches, I claim you, not with command, but with devotion. He lifted her hand and pressed his lips against the glowing mark on her wrist. Silver light enveloped them both. The bond ignited fully, a burst of radiance that lit the entire kingdom. The crowd bowed as the drums thundered. Wolves howled across mountains and valleys. The sky opened, raining silver light across the land, the mark of a newly bonded king and queen. Weeks passed, peace returned to the realms. The former Silver Claw pack now served the Lycan kingdom, their loyalty sworn to the queen they had once rejected. Luna ruled beside Theron, her presence bringing light and renewal to the once war-torn lands. Under her touch, crops flourished, rivers cleared, and even wounded wolves healed faster. In the grand throne room, she sat beside her king, his hand resting protectively on hers. He leaned close, voice low. You've changed this world, Luna. She smiled softly, her hand resting over his and on her stomach. Not just this world. His eyes widened slightly, then softened in awe. Our heir? She nodded, tears in her eyes. The next moon will shine for 3. He cupped her face gently, his voice trembling for the first time in centuries. You've given me everything I ever waited for. She smiled, eyes bright as starlight. And you gave me everything I was told I'd never deserve. That night, as the kingdom celebrated under the endless silver sky, Luna stepped out onto the balcony, the same place she had first looked out in fear. Below, the same people who had once called her worthless now bowed to her. The wind whispered through the banners as if repeating her name. She placed a hand on her growing belly, the mark of her bond glowing faintly. Theron joined her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. They called me weak, she whispered. They called me worthless. She turned her eyes toward the moon, strong, calm, untouchable. Now they call me, Your Majesty. Theron smiled, placing his hand over hers. And soon, they will call you Mother of a New Era. The moon flared one last time, silver, eternal, sealing the reign of the queen who had once been rejected. From ashes of rejection, she rose. From pain, she found purpose. And when the moon called her name, she answered, not as prey, but as the queen the stars had promised. It had been 3 moons since Luna Ashford was crowned Queen of the Lycans. The kingdom had healed, old wounds closing under her reign. Where there was once fear, there was peace. Where there was blood, there was life again. But peace never lasts forever. That night, the wind carried something strange. Not the cool whisper of night air, but a thick scent of iron, sharp and heavy. Luna stood alone on the palace balcony, hand resting on her growing belly. The child inside her was strong. She could feel its pulse, steady and powerful. Theron often said it was the heartbeat of the next age, but tonight even that heartbeat felt restless. She looked up at the sky, the moon that had always been silver and pure, and her breath caught. It was red, not crimson like dawn, but deep, bleeding red. The blood moon, her wolf, stirred uneasily inside her. "Theron," she whispered. He appeared moments later, his expression changing the second he saw the sky. His golden eyes hardened. "It can't be. The curse was broken." Luna's voice trembled. "Then why is the moon bleeding again?" He placed a hand over hers, his tone low and protective. "Stay inside. I'll summon the council." But before he could move, a gust of wind tore through the courtyard, carrying with it a howl unlike any they'd heard before. It was not of their pack, not of their kind. It was older, darker, familiar. Luna's heart skipped. That sound, Theron's jaw clenched. It's Marcus's line. Her eyes widened. But Marcus was banished. He turned toward the horizon, his aura darkening. Banishment isn't death. The blood moon pulsed once more, casting its red glow across the entire kingdom. Somewhere beyond the mountains, an ancient evil was stirring, one that refused to die. And this time, it wasn't after Luna, it was after her heir. The next morning, the council gathered in the grand hall. The walls were lined with torches that flickered uneasily, as if afraid. The oldest Lycan elder bowed his head. "Your Majesty, the blood moon returns only when old magic wakes. The curse might have been weakened, but not destroyed." Theron's voice rumbled through the hall. "Speak plainly." The elder hesitated. "A bloodline can't die as long as one vessel remains. Marcus's spirit has passed into another." Luna's hands clenched at her sides. "Another?" "A son," the elder said. "Hidden before Marcus's fall, a boy born under the eclipse, protected by a spell of shadows." The hall fell silent. Theron's jaw tensed. If that's true, he carries the curse's echo. "The magic that once tore us apart." "Then we end it before it grows stronger," Luna said, her voice steady, even as her heart raced. The council murmured, the queen speaking like a warrior again. Theron looked at her, a mix of pride and concern in his eyes. "You can't fight, Luna. Not now. The child, our child is the reason I must," she said quietly. "If that bloodline rises again, it'll come for us, and for them." He reached for her, thumb brushing over her wrist, where their bond mark glowed faintly. "You're not alone in this fight, my queen." That night, Luna couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw flashes, fire, screams, the same red moon hanging over a battlefield, and a face, a boy with Marcus's eyes staring at her through the flames. When she woke, her mark was burning. The healer rushed in, startled. "Your Majesty, your bond mark is reacting." Silver light flared across her skin, then turned red, the color of the blood moon. Theron burst into the room, his aura flooding the space. "What happened?" The healer bowed low. "Something's calling her, my king, from beyond the mountains." Luna's breathing slowed. "He's not coming for war, Theron." Theron's eyes narrowed. "Then what?" "He's calling me." 3 days later, against the council's warnings, Luna and Theron rode into the forest where she had once been left to die. The trees whispered with memories. The air was heavy, the light red even though it was still morning. Luna dismounted, pressing her palm to the earth. The soil was cold, empty. Then, a heartbeat. Weak but alive, somewhere deeper within the woods. She followed it. Theron moved beside her silently, eyes scanning every shadow. "This place hasn't changed," he muttered. "Only the scent of blood has grown stronger." They reached a clearing where the ground had split open, an ancient altar buried beneath roots and ash. And lying there, chained by shadows, was a boy no older than 10. black hair, pale skin, eyes that glowed faintly amber. Luna gasped. "Theron, he's just a child." The boy's voice was soft, trembling. "You shouldn't have come." Luna knelt, her voice gentle. "Who are you?" He looked up, eyes flickering gold, then red. "I'm what my father left behind." Theron's growl filled the forest. "Marcus's son." The boy flinched, but his chains pulsed with dark energy, older than either of them. "The curse lives through me," the boy whispered, "and it's hungry." Before they could react, the earth trembled. The shadows behind him twisted into a monstrous shape, a wolf made of smoke and blood, its roar shaking the trees. Luna's mark flared silver, countering the red light. Theron shifted, his Lycan form emerging, black fur, gold eyes blazing. The blood moon had returned for more than vengeance. It had come for their future. The curse that once tore them apart now hungers for their heir, and the queen must choose between mercy and destruction. The shadow beast's roar shook the forest until birds scattered into the red-lit sky. Luna stepped forward, the hem of her gown brushing the cracked soil. Her silver aura pulsed with the rhythm of her heart. Theron growled beside her, his Lycan form towering, but Luna raised her hand. "Don't." Her voice was calm, but it carried command. The shadow creature froze, its head tilted, smoke twisting like breath. Behind it, the chained boy trembled. "It wants out," he whispered. "It feeds on what I feel." Luna's eyes softened. "And what do you feel, child?" "Hate." His voice cracked. "My father's hate." The shadow snapped its jaws. Roots splintered, the ground bled red light. Luna stepped closer until the heat of its darkness brushed her skin. "Then let me feel it too." Silver fire flared from her hands. The shadow shrieked. Theron lunged, slamming his claws into the earth to anchor her as the energy storm spiraled. "Luna," he shouted, "it's draining you. It's what I came for." Inside the light, Luna's spirit fell into the creature's core, an endless void. Whispers swirled around her, weak, worthless, forgotten. Voices from her past, from Marcus, from every wolf who had thrown stones. She stood tall within them. "Those words don't belong to me anymore." Her wolf's howl tore through the illusion, ripping the shadow apart. When the world steadied, the boy was free, panting, frightened, his chains gone. But the forest was dead quiet. Luna collapsed to her knees, silver blood dripping from her nose. Theron caught her instantly, pulling her against his chest. "You gave too much," he whispered, fear flickering in his golden eyes. She tried to speak, but the world tilted, darkness pressed in. Then voices, faint, feminine, ancient. "Daughter of moonlight, to break a curse, you must face its echo." The forest vanished. Luna opened her eyes to find herself standing in a vast white field under the bleeding moon. Shadows of past queens circled her, beautiful, ageless spirits wearing crowns of light. One stepped forward. "Do you know why the curse still lives?" "Because Marcus's son still breathes," Luna said. The spirit shook her head. "Because forgiveness never fell." Luna frowned. "Forgive him? After what he did?" "Not him." The spirit touched Luna's heart. "Forgive yourself for believing them." The truth struck deeper than any wound. Tears welled in her eyes. She had carried rejection like a chain, even after the crown. The spirits chanted softly, silver petals fell like rain. Her heartbeat slowed, peace settled inside her chest. When she opened her eyes again, she was back in Theron's arms, his face pale with worry. "Luna," she smiled faintly. "It's over, at least this part." The child sat by the ruined altar, watching them. His amber eyes were dull, empty. "What happens to me now?" he asked. Luna walked toward him, weak but steady. "That depends on what you choose to be." He looked down. "I can't control the darkness. It wants blood." She knelt in front of him, placing her hand over his heart. "Then I'll give you light to fight it." Her silver mark glowed, pouring warmth into him. The boy gasped. The red faded from his eyes, leaving only gold, pure, frightened, human again. Theron watched silently, awe softening his features. You spared the son of your enemy. Luna's voice trembled, because I refuse to let hate raise another child. The forest breathed again, flowers pushed through the ash. The air smelled like rain. The blood moon dimmed, turning back to silver. They rode back to the palace at dawn. The kingdom was quiet, waiting. When the gates opened and the first rays of sun touched the queen's face, the wolves bowed instinctively. Theron dismounted and helped her down, his hand lingering at her waist. You faced darkness and came back brighter. She smiled, exhausted but glowing. Maybe that's what light is, pain that refused to stay broken. He brushed a thumb along her cheek. You speak like a goddess. She laughed softly. No, just a woman who's tired of being afraid. He pulled her close, forehead against hers. Rest, my Luna. The prophecy still whispers, but tonight, we've won. Yet victory never comes without consequence, for when light heals darkness, something new is always born. Days turned to weeks. The blood moon faded, the kingdom healed, and for a brief moment, the palace knew peace. Luna spent her mornings walking through the gardens Theron built for her, rows of moonflowers that glowed when she passed. Her belly had grown. The child's heartbeat was strong, a soft rhythm she could feel even in her dreams. Theron often found her there, hand resting on her stomach, whispering stories to the unborn heir. One evening, as twilight brushed the towers, he joined her. You still talk to them every night, he said, smiling. They listen, she replied. Sometimes I feel them answer. Theron's arm slipped around her shoulders. Our child will know no fear, Luna. I'll make sure of it. But she didn't answer. Something inside her stirred, a pulse of energy that wasn't her own. For a heartbeat, her vision flickered. The garden melted into red mist. The moon bled again. Then it was gone. At midnight, she woke screaming. Theron rushed in. The room glowed silver, walls humming with power. Luna sat upright, her eyes shining like stars. It's happening, she whispered. The bloodline, it's awakening inside me. Her mark blazed, spreading across her skin like silver fire. The air thickened. The moon above the castle turned crimson again, for only a moment. Theron knelt beside the bed. What do you need me to do? She gripped his hand, trembling. Don't let me lose control. Energy burst from her, waves of light shaking the chamber. The child's heartbeat thundered through her ribs, echoing in every wall of the palace. Outside, the Lycans howled in unison. The kingdom felt their queen's pain. Luna, Theron shouted over the storm. Breathe! She gasped, eyes wide, seeing flashes. The boy from the forest, his golden eyes pleading. Her younger self standing under the full moon, and the spirits of past queens surrounding her once more. The power of two bloodlines will not destroy, but rebirth, the voices whispered. Then everything went silent. When she woke, dawn light poured through the curtains. Theron sat beside her, exhaustion shadowing his face. The healer stood nearby, awe in her voice. My queen, your child, carries both lights. Luna frowned. Both? The healer nodded. Silver from you, gold from the king, but there's a third shimmer, red. The curse energy didn't vanish, it merged. Theron stiffened. Merged? The child has taken it, purified it. They will be the bridge between dark and light. Luna touched her stomach gently. The faintest glow pulsed beneath her hand, silver, gold, and a thread of crimson swirling together like sunrise. Her heart swelled. So the curse wasn't meant to destroy us. It was meant to be reborn through us. Theron exhaled slowly, then fate was never cruel, only waiting. He kissed her forehead. Rest, my queen. The new age begins inside you. News spread quickly through the palace. Not everyone celebrated. In the council chamber, ancient voices argued. A child with shadow in its veins, one elder hissed. It's dangerous. It could bring balance or doom, another shouted. Theron slammed his hand on the table. Enough! That child is the heir of both light and darkness. It will unite what our wars divided. The room fell silent under his power. Then Luna entered, her presence quiet but commanding. You fear what you do not understand, she said softly, but the moon does not fear the night. Every elder lowered their head. For the first time, they saw not just their queen, but a goddess of her own making. That night, Luna stood at the balcony again, the cool wind tangling her hair. Theron joined her, wrapping his cloak around her shoulders. Do you think the world is ready for what's coming? She asked. He smiled faintly. The world will learn, just as we did. She leaned into him. I used to think the curse was punishment. And now? Now I know it was a path. He looked at her, golden eyes soft. And where does that path lead, my Luna? She smiled through tired eyes. To legacy. They stayed there as the moon turned white again, its light no longer bleeding, but shining brighter than ever. Far below, the child in her womb stirred, a soft pulse of power rolling through the kingdom like a heartbeat shared by thousands. Every Lycan lifted their face to the sky. For the first time in centuries, the moon felt alive. Months later, under the silver eclipse, cries echoed through the royal halls. The queen's child was born, eyes silver and gold, the mark of unity glowing on their tiny chest. The moment the infant drew breath, the sky shifted, one half silver, one half crimson, blending into light. Theron held the baby close, whispering, "The world will know peace through you." Luna, exhausted but radiant, smiled. They'll call you the heir of two moons. Outside, wolves howled their loyalty. The blood moon curse had become a blessing, reborn through love. And for the first time since the dawn of the Lycans, no one feared the night. She was once rejected, then crowned, then tested by darkness. But love turned her curse into creation, and the world learned that even a wounded heart can give birth to light. Subscribe and like for more Lycan love and forbidden fates. Comment, Your Majesty, if you believe Luna's reign has just begun.